social works, 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 yeah, S works, everyone put it in hands, you know it's a vibe, they're waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands, yeah, we in this together, we feeling like fam, it's all about peace, so pull up with friends, you better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in, S works, so we keep it lit, you can see how we move the city from the west side to the east, ooh, you can feel how we leave through, it's all about the youth, change the world through the tunes, make the world to a better place, and S works what we do,
social works, social works, social works, social, social works, social works, social works, social works, keep my family out the dirt. This organization, we stopping no Satan and open, but we call it SWorks. Action on Taylor, the killer verse. I do on my family, my city hurt. They killing our babies, this work on crazy. I pray for my city to reimburse. Private schools for the kiddies. We the city, yeah, we litty. All I know is it's work. Work hard, keep it busy. Know the life keep it tricky, but please just let me finish. Let me just be a witness. SWorks handle business.
Social works, social works, social works, social. Social works, social works, social works.
Ready or not, here we come. South side, west side, east side, north side. Up on the run, we ain't for the none. We came in the party, we here for the fun. Celebrate life, the party we young. Sky is the limit, we looking above. We up in the sun, no matter what, we stay on the run. Ha, S work, do your thing. S work, keep it lit. Bullseye, keep your aim. Yeah, we up on the jib. North side, that's the way. Ready or not, here we come. S work, keep the energy. Look, yeah, we never unplug. S work, show some love.
Social works, social works, social works, social, social works, social works, social works. social works, 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 yeah, S works, everyone put it in their hands, you know it's a vibe, they're waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands, yeah, we in this together, we feeling like fam, it's all about peace, so pull up with fans, you better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in, S works, so we keep it lit, you can see how we move the city from the west side to the east, ooh, you can feel how we leave through, it's all about the youth, change the world through the tunes, make the world to a better place, and S works what we do.
Social works, social works, social works, social, social works, social works, social works, social works. Keep my family out the dirt. This organization, we stopping no Satan and open, but we call it SWorks. Action on Taylor the killer verse. I do on my family, my city hurt. They killing our babies, this work going crazy. I pray for my city to reimburse. Private schools for the kids. We the city every lady. All I know is it's work. With the heart, keep it busy. Know the life can be tricky, but please just let me finish. Let me just be a witness. SWorks handle bitch.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works.
Ready or not, here we come. South side, west side, east side, north side. Up on the run, we ain't for the none. We came in the party, we here for the fun. Celebrate life, the party we young. Sky is the limit, we looking above. We up in the sun, no matter what, we stay on the run. Ha, S work, do your thing. S work, keep it lit. Bullseye, keep your aim. Yeah, we up on the jib. North side, that's the way. Ready or not, here we come. S work, keep the energy. Look, yeah, we never unplug. S work, show some love. Yeah.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works.
SWorkshops are a series of online workshops featuring the many incredibly talented friends of SocialWorks. This series aims to inspire and educate, bringing local and national creatives live to your smartphone. They will be sharing and teaching specific aspects of their craft. A wide variety of professions, interests, and hobbies are represented within our curriculum. Did we mention it's a fundraiser too? The stay-at-home notice has students wondering what's to come. For some, graduation and prom will both be canceled. This campaign will directly fundraise a celebration event for those students within the Chicagoland area. Once it's safe, of course. Tune in to any of our socials for one or all of the SWorkshops. You can find the full schedule of programming at socialworksshy.org or on our Instagram. Classes start Monday, April 13th. We'll see you there.
My name's Brandi. A lot of you guys know me by Lake Shore, Lakeshore High, whoever I'm speaking to. Shout out to everybody tuned into this right now. Another shout out to SocialWorks and for hosting this series. Yeah, be sure to donate. This is for the kids. This is gonna directly, fundraise for graduation / prom celebration. So before we hop into today's workshop, let's go ahead and run a video. All right, so that was just a video I made for Social Works anniversary. So I've been a filmmaker for about 4 years now. I've been a full time filmmaker for about a year. Before that, I was working in corporate America and doing advertising. I worked for Chicago Tribune, Chicago Sun Times, and another news organization, DNA Info, rest in peace. Um, but this journey in filmmaking has allowed me to work with many different brands, organizations such as Pep Rally Takeover, Social Works. I've worked with Jordan, Puma, Nike, the NFL, NBA. So I've worked with a lot of different brands, which to me is really dope because I am a consumer of most of those brands. Um, but yeah, that's just like a little bit about me. But I started my journey though in filmmaking probably back in high school. I remember my mom bought this computer, and it came with this little cheap like battery operated camera. It really wasn't much, but I didn't know anything about cameras at that time. I just knew that if I hit record, I could make a video. At the time, I was playing basketball, so I was always traveling, and I would have the camera everywhere with me. Shout out to my teammates because I recorded everything. You know, they're like, "You always got this camera." Like, why? You know, I'd be like, "Wait, hold that thought. Let me grab my camera," and they're just like, "Oh my god, get her out of here." But it's crazy because I was really into it in high school, but I didn't really pursue it as a career until after I graduated college, which my mom to this day makes fun of me. She's like, "I told you you should have did this," but I'm the type of person that believes that everything happens for a reason. um, but like I said, back in high school, I was always recording with this little cheap camera. And another thing I would do is during basketball, like I would also edit like all of our videos. So like when you're playing back in the day, there was no digital, SD cards, plugging them into a computer. Everything was like on CDs. So you would have to put the CD into the computer, and then you would have to rip it. And then I would put it into Windows Movie Maker, and I just remember like just having to edit and add music in and make my own type of video for my recruitment for basketball. It worked, got me into college, so obviously they thought I made a pretty decent video. Um, but yeah, like at the end of each year, I would make these recap videos of just everything, and that's kind of like how I started getting into it. Again, it wasn't something I was taking serious. A lot of my friends knew I it was something I would do. Like I said, my teammates, they probably they're probably like looking out and like it makes sense that this is something that she does. Um, but that's how I kind of got into actually filming. But storytelling is has been a part of me since I was a kid. I remember being in like second grade, and I would easily tune out from the teacher, and I would just I would just write, like I would draw pictures like comic book style, but it was like it's essentially storyboarding. At the time I didn't know, but it was just about things that were going on in my second grade life. But I would just draw pictures of just people and write short little stories, and eventually I ended up actually publishing my own book. There was an opportunity with young authors, and I talk about this. A lot of people who actually tuned into my article with Voyage, I talked about this briefly. As I wrote a book, and I actually won a Young Authors Award, and I actually found the book. um, so I wrote this book in 2001, so 19 years ago. And this is how I kind of got into storytelling. Like, and again, I still didn't take it serious. Like, it just was like something I did. It was like a competition. I'm a very competitive person. Like, if there was a competition for running back and forth, like, I want to be the best at that. Like, that's just all I will. That's how I was as a kid. Um, so yeah, that was like something I tried. I did, and again, it's just something I didn't really think about. And when I think about where I'm at now in my career, it makes sense. Um, but fast forward, you know, I didn't do anything related to camera works, cinematography. We're still not even there yet. Uh, Probably till after I graduated college and I linked back up with one of my childhood friends. She was a producer. She had just graduated from Columbia. I just graduated from Aurora. And every day I would get off work and go hang out at her studio. And it was such a vibe. Like, you meet so many different artists, and it was during the time where, like, Chicago was untouchable when it came to music and music videos. And being in the studio, I would literally watch artists record a song and walk in her kitchen and just record a video. Like, there wasn't really any like thought process to it, but it it kind of motivated me. It inspired me. And I remember her telling me, like, why don't you get back into video? And I'm just like, nah, I don't. I'm in corporate America now. Like, I'm past that or whatever. But eventually, like, I just I got back into it. Like, I just being there, it made me want to be creative with it. Because as I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, why don't they put a little thought into it? Why don't they do this, or maybe like make it like a movie? She's like, that's why you should get back into this. Um, so yeah, I ended up buying my first camera, 2016, beginning of 2016, and my first reception of this was like, okay, it was this Canon T6i. I got it off of Amazon, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this camera. As soon as I hit record, it's gonna look like what I see on TV. And I was completely wrong. Um, I I was like, what am I doing wrong? Is it the camera I have? Like, and I'm just like, man, this is not what I expect. But I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna stick with this. I'm gonna try it. I'm just whatever. I went to YouTube. I started looking up videos. Started just learning about the camera, and I realized that the Canon didn't and even do what I wanted it to do. And of course, that was a very expensive. I wouldn't even say it was an expensive mistake. It was an expensive lesson, but um, it was something I kind of learned from. But I ended up getting a new camera. So I started learning, and I got a new camera, and I actually have that camera, which was my first 4K camera. Because also, this is when 4K was being introduced. I saw a lot of videographers that were shooting, and they were charging like crazy amounts for 4K, which I understand. Like, it could be difficult to work with. So I ended up investing into this guy. I did a lot of research, and as I was learning on YouTube University, I call it, I came across the Panasonic Lumix G7. And the cool part about it was, number one, it didn't cost as much as many of the 4K cameras that were out there, like your top Canons, your cameras like Canon or Sony. It was under $1,000. It shot 4K, and it was very small. Um, so with this, I was like, okay, like, I'm slowly learning now about cameras. Like, I could shoot 4K, I could do some slow mo stuff. So I really started to learn about cameras and learning how to shoot. So the basics of shooting, like how to shoot slow mo, how to shoot, like those crazy effects that you see in camera, like how to move with my camera. And eventually, um, I fell out of love with that camera. I wanted more. So I invested into my big boy, in which I use this today, and I've been using it for the past 3 years, which is my GH5. This camera, I think I would say, shaped everything. This camera is everything. It was probably one of the best investments. I mean, I've used it so much that the lens is starting to, like, the ring on the lens is going to come off. So this is my go-to. But I talk about the cameras is because so many people ask me, like, what camera do you use when they see my work, and what camera or what lens are you using? And I mean, I'm one of the people, I'll tell you what I'm using, but ultimately it doesn't matter what camera you use. It's more about you, you know. And I realized that, 3 cameras in, because after I got my GH5, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna buy another camera in about a year. Like, I have to grow with this camera. It's expensive, so. But what you do is you learn is that, like, the more you learn about the art craft, the better you become, and the more you learn about the basics of how to shoot, the better your shot looks, the better your everything just looks. And I wish I knew now what I knew then, because I could have probably saved a couple $1,000. But at the same time, it was an important lesson I learned, and everything with this business for me was trial and error. I didn't go to film school. Everything I learned was YouTube, other people, and just watching, different things and reading. Like, that's really how you learn and how you become better. And I consumed so much YouTube that at the point is I stopped watching TV. All I would watch is YouTube videos and how to shoot. I found different creatives that were shooting things and shooting content the way that I wanted to shoot, and I started learning from them. And I feel like once I learned how, like, the importance of the art, I became that filmmaker and that cinematographer. Um, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But I talk about the journey, and I talk about where I come from first, just because I think that's what kind of separates me from being just a videographer, or I get upset, or I don't allow people to just call me a videographer. I'm a cinematographer. I study this, every aspect of this camera, and these cameras, and the way it looks, and from colors to lights. Anybody that knows me knows that I am a light freak. And that's what's important, is that it doesn't matter what camera you shoot on. I probably could go back to my T6i, which is back home. I could shoot on my T6i now and probably shoot the same type of, I could shoot similar to what I'm shooting now. Now, granted, my T6i doesn't shoot in 4K, but I can make something really look like what I'm shooting now, because it's not my camera, it's me. And for any up and coming filmmaker, learn the basics first before you hop into, investing into expensive cameras. Don't buy a Sony camera because so and so is shooting with a Sony camera. Before you buy a camera, ask yourself why. Why am I purchasing this camera? And when I bought my GH5, I asked myself that question: is why did I invest in this camera? Why am I leaving my G7? And the biggest thing is that I wanted to shoot 60 frames, slow mo, and 4K. I wanted a camera that I could grow with as I learn, and I have. I said I've worn that camera out. I'm praying that they come out with a GH6, because I've worn that camera out so much. But again, it's just that's what you have to learn before you get into things. So before we hop into the full presentation, I'll answer a couple questions, and then we'll hop into conversation about cinematography. Let's see here. Brandi about to go crazy. Thank you. So how did you? We'll answer this one. Let's see, I missed that. Okay. How did you get involved with high school pep rally initiative? Oh wow. Actually, the day I bought my GH5 was the day I went to my first pep rally takeover. And it was in Michigan City, Indiana. I think I had been to a couple of them, but it wasn't. I was with an artist, and it really wasn't like I got to experience. Like we would show up in the middle, but when we went to Michigan City, we went there at the beginning, and it was just such an amazing experience that I had to capture it like I had to capture it like a movie, just being in there and just getting the vibe and being around and seeing how Rod and D-Lo and I think Stunt Taylor was there and Big Sexy, they were all just connecting with the crowd and the kids having fun. I told Rod, I got to be a part of this. Like I was still working. Like I remember, I hope my old boss isn't watching this, but it is what it is. But I used to I would have the opportunity to work from home. I used to sneak off either on my lunch breaks or at least towards the end of the day, just so I could shoot with Pep Rally Takeover, because it was just an amazing experience. And Pep Rally Takeover has helped me find myself with this as well, is because it's a story I wanted to tell. I believe so much in Rod's vision that I want to tell this story. Like that's how I really became one of the videographers. And there was a lot of different videographers, but I really wanted to tell the story. I wanted people to experience what I was able to experience, especially the day we went to Michigan City. And if you've never been to one, I encourage you guys, reach out to Rod or reach out to one of us and come shadow, especially when outside opens back up, But it's such an amazing opportunity. Let's see here. Let's answer another one. Actually, we'll answer a couple more. Let's see here. Somebody said I'm one of the biggest inspiration. Thank you. I'll say this is that I know a lot of people have things going on in their life, but if whoever you are, if this is what you want to do and you have a question, please feel free to reach out and ask me. I do not mind being a resource. I don't know everything. I'm still learning. But I love helping people and spitting knowledge that I do have. We'll get into one more question before we hop into the actual presentation. These are some good questions, guys. I like this. Let's see here. Who is your favorite lens manufacturer? I love Sigma art lenses, but Sigma lenses are amazing. Panasonic makes some good lenses as well. Sony's got some good lenses, but I am a Canon. It's for a Canon, but it's Sigma art lenses are the best. All right. So we're going to hop into this conversations about cinematography. So I think this is important to understand videography versus cinematography. Videography is more of the process or art of making films. So if I go outside and I film the birds with my iPhone, technically I'm a videographer. If I'm somebody that records people dancing, I am a videographer. Cinematography is more of the art conveying a message through videos. Movies, that's not videography because it's conveying that message. It's connecting to viewers emotionally. You're telling a story. You're able to feel and connect with what's going on in that story. And I say that's important to distinguish is because I feel like the way that things are set up now, people are looking more for cinematographers. I feel like cinematographers get more respect. I'm not saying it's bad to be a videographer, but I feel like, videographer is like on that same level as like, this is my cameraman or my camerawoman. When you're a cinematographer, like, this is my director, this is my cinematographer, people are like, ooh, that's fancy. You get more respect, but cinematography isn't, it's more of, it is an art. They're both arts, but when you think about cinematography, it's telling that story, it's connecting with people, it's you're being able to, like, with Pep Rally Takeover, I'll use that as an example, is I want people to understand that it's more than just kids dancing to music and Rod and B-Man playing music and we hyping them up. Oh, you know, we're connecting with kids. We're telling them to love each other. We're telling them to do well in school. There's messages throughout there. Even with social works, when I record for open mic, I want people to understand is that open mic isn't just kids spitting on the mic and to their peers. It's a safe place for kids to express themselves and their arts. So when I go into this, I always look at what is the message that I can show people. I want people to experience what I'm seeing through my lens. That's what cinematography is. With videography, if I just go in there, I can go in there and just record people doing things. But people don't really get the full effect. It's just like I can tell you something that doesn't mean you understand it or you see where I'm coming from unless I go into detail. So I say that's important is because the more I've done music videos, commercials, short films, documentaries, and especially with the commercials, are more businesses are looking for people that can convey their message versus people that can just record. And I always had an old boss that would tell me is that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I feel like cinematography allows you to, express and tell the why of the company you're working for or the organization. So I got a technical definition here. So cinematography is the art and craft of making motion pictures by capturing a story visually. Cinematography is the art and the science of recording light, either electronically onto an image sensor or chemically onto film. That's a technical definition. Um, so it when you hear that, you're like, okay. And there is. I was just talking to one of the producers, and you're telling me that he went to film school, and that was one thing he had to do is he had to develop the film. They couldn't use Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro. Like, they had to do it like with the frames. When you hear people say 24 frames per second or 60 frames per second, that's literally like 60 pictures in 1 second. So if you're shooting like it's a lot when you think about video is nothing but just images, and they say our eyes see 24 frames per second. So that's just to put that into a perspective. Cinematographers are also known as directors of photography or DOPs or DOPs on set. But mainly their job is to elevate the director's creativity and bring the vision to life. I've worked with a few different directors on short films and documentaries, and they come to me with, either scripts, ideas, but they look to me to elevate that. Organizations or companies that come to me with just a goal, like, hey, I want to get some sponsorship dollars, or hey, I want to do a campaign, or I need a video for I've done a commercial type of video for a conference. Whatever it is it's your job as a cinematographer to elevate that vision and bring it to life. And there's a lot of key elements that go into there, like the three that I focus on. There's more than three, of course, but the three I focus on the most is lighting, shot composition, and camera movement. um Lighting is so important. Lighting Sorry about that. Lighting not only does it allow you to see what's going on in the frame, it can make your shot look 10 times better. It can change and determine the mood of an image. You know, it can, if a light is up here, you kind of get that interrogation type of style. You know, so you're looking at the image a little bit different. If a light's under here, it kind of reminds you of like storytelling type of thing. So lights are really important. I love lights. I have so many different lights. You know, I have portable lights. I got lights on stands. I got color lights. I got lights for days because lights are important. Next is shot composition. You might hear this, but pretty much the composition is just like how things are arranged in an image. You know, I don't want to go into like this can be, and I want to keep this. I don't want to go like super deep in this because I could talk about shot composition for like the rest of this show. But pretty much just to keep it show, it's like how you arrange subjects within a frame, or how you add things within a frame that relate to the story, right? So even positioning a person within the frame and with other things in the frame is shot composition. You know, we look on our iPhones, you know, when you go to take a picture, you have those lines. That's actually called the rule of thirds, right? It's got like 9 boxes and 4 intersecting points. And a lot of people just like, oh, that's just to keep myself centered. Yes, but it can be also used to create composition within your shot. Nobody likes a shot that's just boring with a flat background. Even this, I kind of have a little bit of depth in my shot. But you want to add things in the frame. You know, you don't want just me talking against a white wall like this unless it's necessary. You know, so composition is great. A movie, if you really want to see a movie with some great composition, I think Django is an amazing movie with amazing shot composition. If you're a filmmaker, go on YouTube, dive into some videos and really analyze Django. You'll start to appreciate it a lot more. So we'll get into responsibilities. So responsibilities of a cinematographer. Again, these are everything, but these are some of the things that we're responsible for. Brainstorming with the director. Like I said on the last slide, the directors sometimes come to you with just an idea, you know, or they might not have a full idea. So it's your job to kind of sit there and tell them like what's realistic. Like, you know, of course they're like, well, I want my person flying down Lake Street. It's like, all right, we would have to do that, but this is what I think we can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of keep it realistic for them as well. But because at the end of the day, you have to shoot it. You know, you storyboard, you can build a treatment, building an actual team, location scouting. So cinematographers are extremely important. You know, they are the reason why certain things look the way they look. They have that feel. The director is directing the actual talent and, you know, getting certain things from them. But the cinematographer is really what is controlling how we interpret images. The lighting, all right? If this lighting is kind of moody, you know, so cinematographers are people that are important, yet you really don't you hear about them, but you hear more about the directors. So some notable cinematographers, Rodrigo Prieto. So if you've seen Wolf of Wall Street and The Irishman, which are two of my favorite movies, he's responsible for that. There's a lot of, if you Quentin and not Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, he is known for a couple of those shots in the beginning and the intro, and there's certain things that he's known for, but when you think about the look and the feel and certain shots and the colors, especially in like Wolf of Wall Street, that's Rodrigo. Michael Ballas, Goodfellas, that's another one of my favorite movies. You guys, as you can see, the type of movies I like to watch. I also like Casino, so if that gives you an idea. Rachel Morrison, it's a female cinematographer. Black Panther, which is an extremely amazing movie. But yeah, when you look at Black Panther, she's responsible for a lot of that. And then I threw in some of my favorite like music video directors. Now, some of them, Director X, he's mainly on the director side, but he puts together some really great videos. And most music video directors are also the cinematographers, like me. I have had like a cinematographer or like a DP, but me, I like to be in control. Like that's just, I guess I'm a hybrid, or like I'm just really controlling. I don't know. But Director X, he's filmed majority of Drake's music videos. He's worked with Justin Bieber, Rihanna, the Wanted, Mario, Let Me Love You. But majority of Drake's music videos are Director X. And the most important director, who I think is the reason why we're all doing this, is Hype Williams. If you've watched any music video from the 90s, the looks, especially Missy Elliott's, man, you think about LL Cool J's, that was Hype Williams. Like, these people are the reason why we are where we are. For any filmmaker, you have to, it's important to understand, who's out there and who's doing what, and study certain, cinematographers, directors, and what they do on set, and how they do things, and what their styles are like. Don't copy them, but learn about them. I've been challenged to do videos that pay tribute to Hype Williams. I've studied Director X's videos. There's a lot of dope creators, cinematographers out there. Another one of my favorite ones that's not on here when it comes to music videos is, I love Kid Art. If you've seen Going Bad video with Meek Mill and Drake, his style is amazing. He shoots it, directs it, edit it. So you see more directors and filmmakers kind of as one now. It's hard, but I direct. I'm the DP right now. I'm my own editor, my own gaffer. Like, I do everything. Unless it's something bigger, I do reach out to a couple of my friends who are also into film. Justin with Raw Provisions. I got Don from First Earth Media. I reach out to those two, but I really haven't done the big set thing yet. Those are usually like my two go-tos, and they're amazing as well. And they're their own cinematographers, their own directors, editors. They do everything just like that. But I think what it does is it kind of gives us a appreciation for the art, and if you're gonna be the best, you gotta know. It's kind of like a CEO. Is you're gonna be the CEO of a company, just because you're not doing everything, you have to know how to do everything. And I think that's what this is setting us up for, is for the future, is that, when my company becomes bigger, I might not I might get into directing where I don't have to, necessarily touch the camera, but don't get it twisted, I can, so that's just something I wanted to talk about. Just notable cinematographers. Get online. Next time you see a movie you like, a music video you like, look at those credits. Really look at those credits and look those people up and learn about them. Sometimes you can reach out to those people. So um, let's before I dive into developing a concept, let's take some more questions, and then we'll dig into like kind of the developing a concept thing. Let's see. Somebody said, how do you branch out to get your name out there? Just I would say, you first off, you have to put yourself out there, put your work out there, but also see who else is, doing things. See if you can go shadow them on their set, shoot BTS, which stands for behind the scenes. Social media has allowed us to connect, follow different hashtags. I always use the hashtag music video directors, which is crazy, is because I've had people find my work there and just reach out to me from all over the world. I've had people in different countries reach out to me. I've met, not like face to face, but I've met, there's a couple of like directors out there from like, there's one from Sweden, and he found me just on using that hashtag, or like using film director hashtags. But just keep, reaching out and looking about, like looking at people who are in your field. Chicago has a ton of music video directors, film directors. Just keep reaching out. Like, I know for me is like, I have people reach out to me all the time. If you have a question, reach out to me. I'm always open to connecting with people. I know right now I'm not really shooting as much, or I'm not really doing things, but if you ever want to shadow me, for sure, reach out. There's a bunch of creators out there. There's creators I work with that are always looking for help. Um, just go on, Google, look for film sets. I've reached out myself. I've just shot emails to like Chicago Med. There's a bunch of stuff being filmed here in Chicago, and just reach out, but first put yourself out there. Have something to show people, and that's key. Because I know some people are just like, I don't want just anybody on my set. So just put yourself out there and start just connecting with people who do film. Reach out to them, ask questions, build a relationship with them where they understand, like, who you are. See, that was kind of the same. What other work do you study? What are your favorite pieces of videography, artwork, be documentary? So right now I'm just really working on, I really want to get into films. I've done a couple documentaries, but I really want to get into writing and actually directing and producing my own films. I've read probably like 2 or 3 shorts, um, and I randomly get ideas all the time. I'll just sit here with an idea and just start writing and have like 20 pages. So I really want to get into. I really want to get into that. Is like, actually, like, it was my goal this year was to actually produce my first short film, write and produce my first short film, and it probably will still happen. I know there's it's a lot of crazy with this whole COVID thing, but that was really one of my goals, was to actually write and produce my first short. But that's really what I want to get into, is just film. I've been really like digging deep into it, and studying like different, not so much the actual filming part, but actual like Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino, like how they approach certain things, how do they actually make it happen, their writing styles and such. So that's really what I want to get into next. I love music videos. I think music videos are something that always will be a part of me, but I see myself really getting into film because that's something I really want to do. I want to, eventually see my movies, on BET, on HBO, Showtime, just like you can see Lena Waithe, like that's giving me motivation. I want to be on Tyler Perry's level. So, what kind of stories do you like to tell? What goals do you have for future projects? So stories I like to tell. I love to tell. Hmm, there's so many. I like to tell stories about people's glow up. You know, how did they start in their careers and stuff like that, and moving forward. How did they get to where they're at? People, I like to tell stories about positive things, stories that motivate people like me or anybody to want to better themselves, or to look, let's say, hold on a second, to look forward and into the future. Um, the biggest thing is I like working with kids. I love telling their stories and their journeys and how they're, how things can positively affect them, and so that's why I work with so many different kids. But I really like to tell stories with meanings. But I could tell anybody's story. One day I might just fully tell my own, you know. Uh, let's dive into this. Probably about 5 minutes, and I'll get back into questions because there's a lot of questions coming through here, and this is going by a lot faster than I thought. So developing a concept, this is important. Everything starts with a concept. Got to start somewhere. I find my motivation sometimes sitting in a. I used to actually find a lot of my motivation when I would take the train to work. I would put on my headphones and I would just sit on the train and just look out the window, and I would just come up with so many different ideas, you know. And brainstorming is important. You want to go into a shoot with an idea. I used to just show up to the shoot and like, all right, let's shoot. And it was probably the most stressful thing, especially when you have to edit it. So take time to like brainstorm. Make sure if whatever you're doing is something you want to do. Just don't do something because you're gonna get a great some type of significant amount of money. Because I've learned that from music videos. There's nothing worse than having to listen to a terrible song 1,000 times. Do your research, whether it's about the artist, the company. Do your research. About them. That way you can understand what it is you want to do. What it is you're doing. Learn about what it is they're trying to do. That's only gonna make things better. The more you learn about a company, the easier it is, the more understanding you have for them. What visual styles and themes can be used to convey a message? That's important. Um, you can learn about visual styles and themes and like how things are shot. Lighting is something I look into all the time. But how can you tell that story? If it's a company coming to you and they tell they want you to tell their story of how they started. All right, cool. You go back to the drawing board and you might say, all right, maybe I might use this type of lighting in this type of setting. Think outside the box and don't be afraid to experiment. There's no such thing as stupid ideas. There's ideas that need to be, what I'm saying, yeah, mixed a little bit, remixed, I'll say. But there's no such thing as stupid ideas. Try different things. The biggest example I can use is Cole Bennett. What Cole Bennett did years ago nobody was doing. Imagine if people thought what he was doing was stupid. And imagine if he actually believed them, you know? So don't be afraid to try things. And shout out to Cole Bennett. You know, he took something and he elevated it, but he did it that nobody else was doing. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try things. I have tried things and I have later realized that was probably not the best idea at the time, but let me take that and try it again and maybe try something different. You know, don't be afraid. And look for inspiration from other directors. There's so many different directors out there. I named a few of them. There's so many different directors. Don't copy them, but look to get inspired, especially when you're writing a concept, a storyboard, or a treatment. You know, you have references. Pick out something from a couple different videos that you like and try to incorporate to your own style. All right. Storyboards and treatments. I'll give you guys a brief description because we're kind of running out of time and I really want to get to the questions. Storyboarding is pretty much is like visual representation of film sequence. So when you see people drawing, you know, each scene, it's used a lot with cartoons, like how, you know, when you see storyboards, and I'll show it on my next slide, like they're drawings. You know, I've been storyboarding for a while. When I was sitting, like I was talked about earlier in this, when I was a kid, sitting writing those short stories, I was drawing, you know what I'm saying? I was drawing one hell of a stick figure, you know, but it was kind of like storyboarding. You know, I did the dialogue, the camera direction, shot by shot, frame by frame. Treatments, they're used mainly for music videos. It's like your pitch. You talk about your mood. You might talk about what the look is like. You know, it's kind of like before a script is written. It's like your pitch. You use it a lot with music videos. But it kind of gives people an idea of what you're going to do. I submit them all the time. And the key is if you really want to shoot a music video for an artist, submit a treatment. You know, you can, don't just, you know, have like you could talk to them, you know, you might risk that they're going to take it, but I've never had that happen to me. You know, submit a treatment. Sometimes they might take that treatment, you know, and a treatment doesn't have to look a certain way. It can literally be pictures. Sometimes I go and get screenshots off the internet. I might get different pictures of things just so people can get an idea of what it is I want to do. And I'm going to actually be starting a podcast with Don and with Don and a couple of my other friends, and we're going to be talking about this stuff in detail. Sorry, I couldn't even think of his name. Justin's name. Sorry. So this is an example. Here goes a storyboard. You see, this is Tom and Jerry. So it kind of like goes into detail, and this is still kind of brief. You know, real traditional storyboards, like they literally have like frame by frame what's going to happen. Oh, he looks left, and this is the type of shot. It's a close-up. It's a medium close-up. You know, stuff like that. It goes into detail. It's taking the script and pretty much illustrating the script. To the right, you see a treatment. See, a treatment is like, okay, for this shot, for the performances, we're going to have it backlit like this. You know, this is what the compositions of the shot are going to look like. This is what the driving scenes, you know, and then you put your references in there. So, and let's see here. And my film cinematic style, these are a couple screenshots of things that I worked on, different lighting. Lighting is huge in what I do. I use a lot of color, vibrant colors, moody lighting, and camera movements. My camera, of course, is my Panasonic GH5. My lens choice is the Sigma. And my process is pretty much just learning much as possible I can about the artist so that I can shoot something amazing. So what we'll do is, like I said, we'll do resources. And resources, these are just how can you, you know, up your game? How can you, you know, take it to the next level? YouTube, free information. I can't express it. Like, YouTube can be your film school. If you have the opportunity to go to film school, go. But if you don't, go to YouTube University. It's free, and you can control whatever it is you want to learn. Studio Binder. If you are a film director, writer, whatever you are, visit Studio Binder. You can learn from, I've watched so many free courses on Martin Scorsese, on Quentin Tarantino. They have resources, free documents, release forms. They even have templates. Check out Studio Binder. They give out so much stuff for free. Masterclasses. Masterclasses are paid, but you can learn so much. And then you can learn from your peers and just experience. So I think we're going to end it with one more video, and then what we'll do is we'll hop into the last questions, and then that'll be the end of the show.
Make some noise.
My rapper friends, hey y'all, I love y'all. Y'all great. Ain't no B words in here, okay? These are queens, all right? Ain't no B words.
All right, sorry I couldn't get into everybody's questions, but what we can do is I'll probably take this onto Instagram Live. So thank you to everybody tuning in. We definitely ran out of time. Be sure to donate to SocialWorks. Thank you.
Social works, social works, social works, social works.
No, that was my fault. I thank you guys. This was amazing.
Social works, yeah, S works. Everyone put it in their hands. You know it's a vibe. They're waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands. Yeah, we in this together. We feeling like fam. It's all about peace. So pull up with fans. You better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in. S works, so we keep it lit. You can see how we move the city from the west side to the east. Ooh, you can feel how we leave through. It's all about the youth. Change the world through the tunes. Make the world to a better place. And S works what we do.
Social works, social works, social works, social, social works, social works, social works. Social works. Keep my family out the dirt. This organization, we stepping on Satan and open, but we call it SWorks. Action on Taylor, the killer verse. I do on my feet, my city hurt. They killing our babies, this work on crazy. I pray for my city to reimburse. Private schools for the kids. We the city, yeah, we litty. All I know is it's work. Working hard, keep it busy. Know the life keep it tricky, but please just let me finish. Let me just be a witness. SWorks handle business.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works.
Ready or not, here we come. South side, west side, east side, north side. Up on the run, we ain't finna none.